I showed up to a small family dinner to find 80 guests and a banner saying "Welcome baby Emily." Mom laughed, "We spent your bonus on Family Joy." I stayed quiet. That night, I froze their accounts, reversed 14 transactions, and took back every cent. So, picture this, my mom's grinning as if she's won an Oscar and shouts surprise. With her arms wide open. Then she leans in, not too quietly, for the folks near the shrimp platter to hear, "We used your bonus for some family joy." She laughs like it's the kicker to a joke, and there I am in the doorway, caught off guard because I hadn't shared the bonus news. I'd only mentioned a raise and a good quarter, not the actual paycheck. "Noted," I said, in as flat a tone as possible. But who noticed, right? Everyone was too busy prancing around in their pastel outfits. Emily, my sister, was glowing in white lace, looking like a princess. Yep, the same sister who conveniently forgot to repay me for last year's rent and called me a heartless calculator at Christmas for not tearing up during the Hallmark movie she forced us to watch. After everyone left with their goodie bags and the balloon arch deflated into a sad heap, I didn't throw a fit or shed any tears. I simply logged on, froze every joint account, reversed 14 transactions, and quietly took back the entire $9,800 bonus from the family savings I'd foolishly agreed to set up before. It wasn't theft. It was just setting things straight. I wasn't out to hurt anyone, I just needed to maintain my sanity, seeking clarity instead of revenge. By morning, the vibe at the house had shifted. Not just because of the trash bags stacked by the door like broken promises. No, there was a note on my old room's door, a little posted in Mom's handwriting, "Please don't overreact. We did it for Emily. She's family. She needs this." I left it there, grabbed my laptop, parked myself on the guest bed, and opened the folder I swore never to use, called Receipts. If they wanted a lesson in family joy expenses, they were going to learn it. I went silent for 5 days after that supposed family dinner, no texts, no calls, just me and a Google Sheets file chronicling every dime I'd sent their way since 2021. Rent payments, $6,300. Medical bills, $2,480. Emily's emergency car repair, $1,900. Groceries, $125 per month and counting. My mom's wine subscription? Still on my card. I was practically their walking ATM with a Wi-Fi password. On day 6, my sister called. I didn't pick up. Then Mom left a voicemail, "Honey, we know you're upset, but you're overreacting. It was just a dinner. Emily's having a baby. She needs support right now. We thought you'd be happy." I replayed that message 5 times. Not once was there a thank you or an apology. I decided to drop by, not because I missed them, but because I had questions. Pulling up the driveway, I spotted Emily's new SUV parked out front, the same one she claimed she couldn't afford the down payment on 2 months ago. Recognized the dealership sticker, too. I'd taken her there, co-signed for it because she said it was for job interviews. Turns out, she was hosting influencer brunches with pastel macaron and pricey centerpieces. I'd seen the reels, the hashtags. I walked in without knocking. "Hey," Emily chirped, sitting at the dining table surrounded by baby bloom boxes. "Look who decided to join us." Dad looked up from the kitchen island. "Don't be dramatic. Your sister's pregnant, right?" I said. "So, that justifies blowing my bonus on a fake baby shower with 80 guests?" He scoffed, "It's called giving back to the family. Try it sometime." I just stared. "I gave you $9,800. "Oh, so you want a parade?" He snapped. Mom jumped in, "We thought it'd be good for everyone. Joy brings blessings. Joy brings overdraft fees," I shot back. Emily stood up, smirking like a Netflix drama villain, "You always make it about you. Just admit it, you hate seeing others happy." That was my breaking point. That night, I dug through an old hard drive I'd been meaning to check out. Emily had backed up her entire laptop on it once and forgot to wipe it. Jackpot. There were edited screenshots of our texts making me look like a monster, doctored voicemails pieced together to fake threats, fake insurance claims with my name as a witness. And a folder named bonuses with a photo of a whiteboard saying, "If we say he gifted it, it's legally clean." I printed everything out and created a family ledger folder. The next morning, a text from Dad, "Emily said you were looking through old files. Let it go. Don't do something you'll regret." My response? Too late. Should have thought about that before the shrimp tower. And then, things got messier. I checked my credit report, 3 new inquiries, all from banks in their city. So, get this, my mom tried to open a credit card in my name. She used my SSN, and I totally recognized her handwriting on the application. She even forged my signature, and honestly, it was a terrible attempt. I decided to call them out in our family group chat, attaching all the screenshots with timestamps and file paths. I gave them 48 hours to explain, then hit send. My aunt bailed from the group, Emily said it was harassment, and my dad just sent a thumbs up emoji. My mom accused me of ripping the family apart. Fast forward 47 hours, and my bank calls. They blocked a $4,500 wire attempt to something called the Harris Family Trust, never heard of it. They asked if I knew an E. Harris. Yep, that's my sister. I told them I never approved the transfer and filed a fraud report. Not 10 minutes later, Emily sends me an email with the subject "This is not what mom wanted," no message, no signature. I didn't bother replying. By Friday, things started falling apart. Friends and relatives, even someone from LinkedIn, began reaching out, all with that passive-aggressive hope all is well. Heard some weird things. You mean the time my own family tried to con me for a fake baby gala? Yeah, that's weird. But I wasn't finished. I met with a family lawyer, armed with a folder full of receipts, everything labeled and organized. She just said one word, leverage, then asked what I wanted. I grinned and said, an ending with fireworks. On Friday morning, my dad texted, "No greeting, just let's talk man to man at the workshop," which, by the way, is just this old shed behind their house. I showed up, he was already there, beer in hand, cigarette tucked behind his ear. He asked if I was ready to drop the drama. "No," I said. "I'm here to see if you've got the nerve to talk to me." He laughed and said, "Come on, Emily's pregnant. You want her having a kid in the middle of a scandal?" I stayed silent, so he went on about handling things quietly, no screens, no banks, no lawyers. Then came the real reason we were there. "We clean this up, you drop the fraud claim, and maybe the family gets back to normal. You good with that?" I pulled out my tablet and played a recording of him and my mom. He won't even notice. He's soft, predictable. His eyes went wide. I told him I had more evidence, his handwriting, a browser log, even an Instagram story from Emily showing off an iPad bought with my guilt bonus. He tried to say Emily needed help, and I had the salary to handle it. I just flatly asked, "So that makes it okay to rob me?" He didn't answer. Instead, I tossed a copy of the fraud report on the table, mentioning the original was with an investigator. Then the door creaked open, and in walked Jake, Emily's ex, the one she always said was abusive and dangerous. I used to believe her. "Hey Jack," Jake said, "thought you might want to hear some things." He shared all about the fake pregnancy scare, the threats, the way Emily drafted plans to ruin him if he left. "She said your son was weak," Jake told my dad. "Turns out he's the only strong one in the family." Jake played an audio clip of Emily, laughing about using my name for paperwork. My dad went pale, backing into the wall. "I didn't know," he mumbled. "No," I said, "you chose not to know." Then I leaned in and looked him straight in the eye. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you. So, here's the story. I decided I was done with this whole mess for good, not just temporarily. When I stepped out into the evening air, I heard Jake's voice calmly but sharply warn, "By the way, Jack, if any of you come after me again, I'll go public." The next morning, something was different at the property. There was this glaring bright orange notice on the front door, announcing the sale of the shared interest. It looked like it meant business, clearly not handwritten. By lunch, Emily had rung me up 23 times and my mom left 3 crying voice notes. My dad just shot a text, saying, "You're making a mistake you can't walk back from." I ignored all that noise. Instead, I uploaded a folder titled Family Transparency Initiative that contained no drama, just facts. Inside were all the receipts, PDFs, screenshots, audio of Emily bragging about manipulating me, photos of the ridiculously expensive baby shower, a timeline of lies, and the legal letter proving I sold my 50% share of the house. They thought they had me beat. They forgot I learned from the best, my own family. Things blew up fast. A neighbor posted a pic of the orange notice on Facebook with the caption "Harris House in Trouble," and another one said, "About time someone stood up to those people." By afternoon, even a local news blog hit me up for a statement. I kept it simple: sometimes you have to burn the legacy to escape the inheritance. They loved it and made it the headline. That night, my mom had her meltdown on Facebook, writing a long 7-paragraph post about how ungrateful I was, including an old picture of me looking awkward as heck. It got 14 likes from relatives I hadn't heard from in ages. One of them, Teresa, commented, "Sending prayers. Stay strong." I just went on LinkedIn and scrubbed all my family connections out of there. I didn't want anything to do with them at that point. 3 days later, Emily put out a video, all pale and teary-eyed with dramatic piano music playing. She claimed, "My brother used to be my best friend. I don't know who he is anymore." People in the comments weren't having it. They were calling her out for faking DMs and forging loan papers. Someone even lined up her audio from the leaked files with pictures from the baby bump party. The internet, doing its thing, turned her story upside down. A week later, Jake texted me saying Emily claims she was pregnant again, probably another lie. I just blocked her without a second thought. Jake told me, "You did the right thing, man. Wish I had your spine." I wasn't feeling like a hero, just clearer about everything. My dad stayed silent until he sent a letter with no return address. It read, "You think you've won, you haven't. Men like you always come back when the silence gets too loud. You'll crawl back." I just laughed because, honestly, he didn't make me, he tried to break me. What shaped me was the silence, the pretending, and biting my tongue while they took and called it love. The law firm, now owning half the house, sent a formal demand: buy out the interest or leave in 90 days. Shared ownership got inconvenient real quick. I forwarded this to Emily with a message: "You threw a $10,000 party. Let's see how you handle property taxes." She replied with an emoji, and I couldn't even bother to block her. That weekend, I posted one last update, a photo of a new sign outside my apartment building that said, "Burn Ledger, Personal Strategy and Digital Forensics." That was my new gig, ready to fight back for anyone else feeling trapped like I did. The check came through, a tidy sum from the Harris family home sale. It wasn't a gift, it was compensation. After months of legal wrangling, a judge ruled in my favor. Emily had forged documents in my name for personal gain. It was all over in under 5 minutes. Justice doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be final. So, the court ordered repayment along with a penalty and extra costs, but my dad didn't even bother to show up to the final hearing. He just sent a note through his lawyer, claiming it was a witch hunt and saying he wasn't going to cooperate. Emily was sitting in the corner looking all deflated, like someone who didn't pass an audition, her head down and lips tightly shut. This time, though, there were no tears, just silence. My mom watched the whole thing go down as if she was hoping someone would step in and stop it, but nobody did. By the next morning, the for sale sign was already up in front of our house. In just a week, new owners took over. They tore out the flower beds, yanked the mailbox, and painted the shutters black. It didn't feel like a homey place anymore, it was more like seeing everything get wiped clean. That afternoon, my lawyer called to say the money was transferred and I'd get a confirmation soon. She told me they weren't allowed to contact me again, and if they did, I should get in touch with her first. I thanked her, and she mentioned, "I've seen lots of cases like this, but this was one where the truth came out pretty clearly." I didn't really have anything to add. There wasn't anything left to sort out. That evening, I sat on the floor of my new office. The hardwood was quiet and uncluttered. My company sign had arrived earlier, and I carefully unpacked it. "Burn Ledger, Strategic Recovery and Risk Defense," it said. I was done chasing punishment, I was all about choosing peace now. I hung the sign on the door myself, drilling in the anchors and screwing it in without any help. That's how it's always been for me. A week later, a letter came to the old P.O. box, handwritten, sloppy, with a torn envelope. It read, "You've made your point. We've lost the house. Emily's suffering, and your mother's not well. If there's any part of you that still values family, pick up the phone." I just put the letter back, taped the envelope shut, and fed it through the shredder. On the same day, I walked into a credit union and shut down the last joint account I had with them. The banker asked me, "Are you sure about this? It's permanent." I nodded and said, "Yep, that's the idea." She slid a folder over for me to sign for the final closure of the account. I didn't even blink as I signed, and then handed over a pre-written note asking them to inform all associated cardholders that the account was closed and any future charges would be denied. The next morning, Emily tried to charge $112.99 at some boutique baby store, but it bounced back. She tried again, and it bounced harder. That's when she texted me, promising to pay it all back if I'd just stop all this. I replied back with a number, $1,942.16. I told her that was her debt now. She never responded after that. They didn't return the full amount. The court dealt with the penalty, but the real win wasn't the cash, it was the silence. No more late-night calls or guilt-laden obligations, no more being their emergency escape plan. They tried using family ties against me, but I'd already let go of the part of me that needed them. That Friday, I changed my phone number and only 3 people got the new one. The old number stayed connected to the joint Netflix account that my mom forgot to cancel. I left it there, to let her wonder who I am when she sees the message saying the profile's no longer available. And then, the last thing I did was donate $2,000 from the settlement to a legal defense fund for adult victims dealing with family-based financial abuse. I didn't post about it or tell anyone, I just hit submit and moved on. Later, I stepped out onto my balcony with a cup of black coffee, taking in the quiet. For the first time in years, my mind wasn't racing through calculations, not a budget, not a strategy, not even an apology. Just breathing. Some stories end with making up, mine ends with seeing things clearly. I wasn't guilty for being used, but I would have been if I'd stayed. They called it betrayal, but I see it as freedom. They saw a fight, I found closure. They thought I'd come crawling back, but I didn't. I cashed the check, changed the locks, and never looked back.